Welcome to another episode of Geek-Men and the Masters of the Thunder Nerds. I'm Dustin.
I am Bo.
That's right.
Yeah, I've been excited. We had to postpone this a little bit, so I'm glad. I'm glad we finally got him on the show. I consider this man the Bob Ross of toys. He's it's just I always look forward to his videos.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and introduce him. There he is, the one and only Dr. Toys, David Russell. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah. I just again, I every time a video pops up in my feed, I'm like, it's time. I like to just sit back and chill and watch them. But for anybody that doesn't know who you are, introduce yourself. Tell us what you do.
All right, I'm Dave Russell, and I work a full-time job, and I build toys at night for fun because I'm a nerd. That's pretty much the gist of it. It's like I'm a graphic designer by trade, and so art is kind of in my blood. But I'm working on a computer all day, and so to be able to switch over to my workbench and build something with my hands is just there's just something magical about it.
Yeah, it's great. When I compare you to Bob Ross, I sincerely mean it, because not only do you show people what you're doing, you are very accessible with the tools that you use, the material that you use. It's like nobody is, there's no gatekeeping of any sort. It's you welcomely come on, build with me.
Oh, yeah, totally. And the reason my tools are so accessible is because I'm cheap. Like I don't want to spend a lot of money on stuff. So, and I think probably kind of how my toy building started is I have collected toys since I was a kid, like a teenager. Like I just would go to the thrift store and yard sales and collect, and I just have boxes and boxes of toys. And I'm not really a toy snob. Like if it's an action figure, if it's cool, I'm gonna buy it. Like I was just like, this is cool. And I'm also not like a huge like historian of toys. Like there are people that are like, oh, that's a 1987, blah blah blah, and it was manufactured. And I was like, wow, you guys are like, so much. It's awesome. I'm like, I found it at a yard sale and it was 50 cents. That thing's awesome.
Yeah. I actually spotted that the other day. I think you bought like a Poe Dameron Lego, like the actual figures that are made entirely out of Lego.
Yeah.
For like $1, and I'm like, that thing, Legos are worth their weight in gold, and you paid $1.
It's funny. I've had several people comment. They're like, I hate those Legos. They're the worst. And it's like, it was $1.
Yeah, it was $1, but I would have been able to turn that down.
Yeah,
like it's insane. So yeah, I saw a video where you were kind of talking about your youth. So you used to actively like ride your bike to thrift stores, and where did the passion come from? Like, where did it start? Where you like, I like toys?
So okay. Like my dad always worked in nonprofit, so he always like gave his life to other people, and so that meant we never had any money growing up. Like, and I'm a kid. I was born in '76, so I'm a kid of the '80s, and it was just we rode our bikes around town and we scrounged change out of the couch to buy candy at 7-Eleven. Like that's kind of how we.
Yeah.
It was a great childhood. Like I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. But like I hit the thrift stores as a teenager all the time. But really, when I got my first full-time job out of college, I had a desk and I was like, ooh, I could start collecting toys. So I started with Johnny Lightnings, like the Hot Wheel cars, or the Johnny Lightning die-cast metal cars. And so I started collecting those, and I was like, these are sweet. And as an artist, like I look at the toy as like a piece of art. Like I know people are like, you're a 47-year-old dude who plays with toys. You're a weirdo. And I'm like, they're like little magical pieces of artwork that somebody's hand created, and it's like fascinating to me. So that's kind of how like I started really hunting and like collecting like early 20s, and it just like hasn't stopped. Like I can't stop. It's an addiction, but it's awesome.
That's great. So what was the so you talked about not having too many toys as a kid. So what was like, do you remember making your first like project, your little like anything that you remember, like your very first thing where you like, I could probably make something like this?
Oh yeah. So like as a kid, like again, like we didn't have much. So like my imagination, I would go out into the garage and I'd be like, oh, Dad's got like some wire over here and like a 2x4. And I would just make stuff, build whatever. And there was this friend of ours. She was an older lady, and I would make her these little trinkets. I would like build this little thing out of wood, and it'd have little arms, and I would give them to her, and she would go head over heels over these things. Looking back, she was probably being really nice to me, but she everything that I made. So I would try and make her something once a week. Her name was Mrs. Brown, and I would make her something once a week, and I would give it to her, and she would go nuts, like, "Oh my, this is the most amazing thing!" And like, as a kid, that encouraged me to. I was like, "Wow!" And that's something that I love to do on my channel. Is I think just having the encouragement to say, like, try it. Like, if it sucks, it's okay. Like, you can do it again. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, but if you don't try it, you'll never get over that hump of like being able to create and build and make stuff. So that's kind of what I don't know if it's maybe I never even thought of it. Maybe Mrs. Brown gave me the passion to like try and encourage other people and excite, and there's people that send me pictures of things that they made. And maybe they're like rough around the edges, but I see the potential. I'm like, that is awesome. Like, I love it. And they get so excited. They're like, wow, you encouraged me. I'm like, that's all I need. That's perfect.
No, yeah, the positive reinforcement. Just thank you, Mrs. Brown. Just the positive reinforcement that you pass along to people, because even on your videos, you're very good about leaving in the mistakes, and if just admitting that you're discouraged at parts, and you just like, I just power through. We'll see what happens. And it's always this magical little thing where it comes together at the end.
Yeah, that happens a lot, and I think the magic of YouTube, you can just cut that stuff out, and then people are like, geez, how does this guy do this like week after week? And like, for me, I'm like, like showing people like it's okay to make a mistake. And there's projects that are just total garbage. You're just at the end, you're like, I don't love it, but we got there. We got something. We learned from it.
Yeah. Well, I think we've done enough introducing. I want to actually show people a couple examples of what you do. So you take this first one is just bargain bin Hulk figure, bargain bin Homer toy, and you made a Hulk Homer. This thing's great. Just the display of this is so great.
Yeah, this one I think I find so many toys. I really have a hard time remembering. I think I found the Hulk body at Goodwill. I probably found the Homer Simpson at Goodwill as well. I can't honestly remember, but it was one of these things where as soon as I like took the head and put it on, I was like, oh my word, like I have to do this. And and the Hulk was you push his stomach and he goes, Hulk smash more, and his arms move up and down. Actually, I have another one. Like I find these things all the time.
Let me put you in
There's another one here.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So, and I think, yeah.
I love it.
You squish his leg, his arms go up and down.
Oh man, yeah, like that's the kind of thing you like find. They obviously they overproduce, they make too much, and they always inevitably they end up in a thrift store or something. So you just see, or a dollar store of some sort.
Yeah, he's still talking.
He's trying to take over the interview.
When I built him, his hands were just out, and I was like, it's kind of weird. Like, it needs something. And I was like, oh, like a giant donut would be amazing. So I sculpted that out of, I think that was Super Sculpey, and then just baked it and painted it up. But
yeah, you got a fan. It's great. It's so good. It's also just a great conversation.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, I sold this at Designer Con to, like, some huge Homer Simpson collector. Like, he... like was with his wife, and he's like, I have to have this thing. So that's pretty cool that a Homer fan has it in his home.
Yeah, that's gotta be the most amazing compliment. This is one of your recent ones, Boba Fett. I really enjoyed this one, and this one started off as a just a cheap wrestling figure in the Bandai model kit of Boba Fett.
Yep. So I found the model kit at Target. It was on clearance, and then I found the wrestler. I can't remember now, but he's right here.
I don't know if I'm getting it right. It might have been Big Show, but
No, it was Taz.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it was just an ingenious because using the smaller head, it really the cartoony proportions really sell it.
I've been playing quite a bit with magnets because I like to try and keep articulation as much as possible. So sometimes when you're just gluing things down, they're stuck. So I kind of played with the magnets so I could have that. And it is kind of cool because his arms still move, his legs still move. So
yeah, it's
one of my
fully
favorite
functional.
figures.
Yeah, again, another fan. Yeah, she's loving these. They always this channel. I should say just real quick, all the links to everything, his show, Instagram, everything in the description. You can because I'm only iceberg. I'm only picking. I'm cherry picking my favorites, but there's so many. I just love you do so many droids that I love them. And you also make it easy to like. I actually want to try working with LEDs because something like it seems scary, but you make it look so easy.
Yeah, and I made a video showing how I use the tea lights because I'm the same way. Like I went onto YouTube and I was trying to look up LEDs, and it's like a mechanical or electrical engineer going like, okay, so you have to have 37 ohms, you got to connect it to the it has to go. And I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about. So I just started figuring out tea lights and I'm unsoldering them. I'm like, it's 2 wires, so it's all there. I'm gonna see if I can do that. So.
And I also love your use of Final Faction. Like that's a very. I mean, you can go into any Dollar Tree. There's always Final Faction something. Yeah. Great toy line on its own, but also just great for parts.
Totally, especially. And my encouragement to people is if you're just starting out, like go get one, spend $1.25, and spray paint, and just try and just play around with it. Because if you screw it up, it's $1.25. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah,
but they're great to mod.
This is you took a chapstick and turned it into a droid.
Yeah.
Again, I just love it. That's I think probably my favorite part of your channel is when you take a random object that probably most people have in their home and you turn it into something.
Yep.
I already know what I'm doing with these. The Newland Oil.
Oh yeah. Because you did it. Yeah, you turned it. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, his droid work, man. This one, the Ghibli. Huge Ghibli fan here. Just this Ghibli style plane that was a bottle of mouthwash.
Yep. You know what's funny? It's like, okay, I'm just a dude. Like I'm not an aerospace engineer. I'm just making stuff for fun, and I get people in comments going like, "That would never work. That function." Like I get it. It's just for fun. Like, don't take it too serious. I'm just having a good time.
Oh, yeah. Somebody didn't see Porco Rosso because those planes are impossible and they're great. Yeah, this is a great one. I don't know if Dustin, have you seen this one?
Huh? No, but I recognize it.
Oh, you do? I didn't because this one is so great. It's just a bubble.
Yeah.
Hubba Bubba. Yeah, there it is. Just a pack of Hubba Bubba. And you got it out. Oh, look at that.
Oh, that's so cool.
So this is a headphones. Oops, I'll go to the camera there. That's a headphone speaker or like an earbud. And these are literally rocks from my backyard that I was like, that looks like it could work.
Yeah, it's just the amount of detail. Again, it's the magic of seeing all these bits and bobs, and they just come together at the end, and just a very cohesive thing. Let's see. Yeah, another little bottle.
Eye drop bottle.
Yes, thank you. I love this. But I'm sorry, man, that thing's just never going to fly.
Yeah, it looks like a T-16 Skyhopper.
What's funny is like this one, the wings were originally like an army green, and it had some cool paint, like a texture on it. There were wings from a little droid helicopter or a drone helicopter that was all busted up, and I found it in like a free box at a yard sale or something. And I spray painted this wing silver, and as soon as I did it, I was like, I should have left it green. Like there was something magical about that copy on there, but move on.
Yeah, that I think that's the artist. I think artists always see the mistakes or what they should have done. I don't see that. This thing's great.
Thanks.
And this is your most recent video, I believe.
Yep.
You took one of the Galaxy's Edge Coke bottles, which
Yep.
you wouldn't say the price, and I'm like, how much are those things? I looked it up. Like $6 for a Coke bottle.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I was like, it was either $5 or $6. I can't remember, but that's way too much.
Yeah, but you upcycled. You turned it into this.
Yeah,
and it's just
which is so epic.
Yeah, I think this is my favorite thing you've done.
It's big too.
Oh, I'm so glad you got these clothes. There you go.
Oh,
that's better than the turnarounds and stuff. It's right there. And those are just walker legs off of just a Star Wars toy. Just a cheap
it was like
Star Wars toy.
ATAP. I had to look it up because I didn't know what it was. But this was a fun one. This was like super easy to. It's not that complicated. Like I don't want to give away like trade secrets, but it's pretty easy. I mean, little pieces on.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too. It's one of those things that it's there's a certain magic to it because it's like you said, there's not many parts coming into play here, but it's how they're laid out. It's the paint job. It's everything, and the wires coming in the back.
One thing that gets lost on the YouTube channel is I spend a lot of time I don't know if it's just me, but I spend a lot of time sitting with my parts. Like I've got bins of just little bits, and I'll literally like pull stuff out and like set it aside, and like the camera and the little Gundam foot or whatever it is. It's like I had like 6 different things, and I'm like, I spend a lot of time just sitting and looking and kind of trying to build it in my brain. Like, and I think that's something that maybe not everybody can do is like visualize what that end product is going to be. And I think that's a thing that might be scary to a lot of people to try and jump into building something is like, they're like, I can't visualize it. And in that case, I would say just start gluing stuff on and try it. But for me, I like to lay everything out and kind of dry fit it and be like, no, that's weird. And like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then,
yeah. You do, I mean, if you do a fair amount of play of like jazzing, like you'll sit there and try something. If it doesn't work, you'll backtrack.
Yeah.
But again, you leave it in the video, and I appreciate it because you never know. There's always some sort of valuable piece of information. Like a lot of, I started to notice a lot of, there's people in YouTube and the community and stuff, they're starting to get into their own toy production because just producing toys has become a surprisingly easier thing, like just even a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And you got people coming out with action figures, but I want to show off this 1M because this is what you're currently working on or you're collaborating with. And you guys are going to build your own droid figures.
We're trying.
These things are great. I've seen there's for people to check out. There's a bunch of videos where he's trial and error on these too, like trying out different 3D printed parts and kind of how we got here to this.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So the way this started out was I've been going to Designer Con. This is my this will be my 3rd year, and I've been taking my builds. But what happens is I'm doing a build. I'm trying to do a build at least every other week, sometimes once a week, just depending on how busy my schedule is. But it's not sustainable. Like I can't build enough to take to a show to sell and actually. I think some people don't understand. Like on a build, I'll spend 20 hours putting everything together, and then if I sell it for $180. It's less than $10 an hour. The kid at Chick-fil-A is making more money than me. It's like, it's hard to like, it's art, you know? So people like don't always appreciate like, oh, you can draw my pet. I'll give you $50. And you're like, okay. So this kind of was stemmed off of like, I wonder if we could build our own like robot and then actually produce, not mass produce, but because we're going to end up like hand painting all these. My mom's hand sewing all the clothes. We're hand lettering
these
all
t-shirts. They're so great.
So, yeah. So the idea for 1M Robots, it actually stands for 1 million robots, and the idea is like, actually, I got some heads here. The whole body is going to be like a magnetic based system. So you could put this head on or pop it off. You could take the bicep, pop it off. The forearm will also be magnetic. So you could pull the forearm off and you could pull the hands off. And so you could like swap around all these different robots. If you had 3 robots, you could mix and match all the parts. So everything's going to be interchangeable. And that's kind of our idea. And now we're trying to build our story of what the world of 1M is. Like, it's kind of this post-apocalyptic world where 1M Robots was the giant corporation. And, you know, so we're trying to think through all that, but it's definitely challenging to build the whole story and get them all produced and ready to go. So
yeah, I'm
That's
just kind
awesome.
of showing off. Yeah, this is one of those perfect things, like you were talking about too, because there is an art form to toys, and there are a lot of toys that are produced strictly for, you know, collectibles of art, like especially high-end vinyl figures and stuff, very low run.
Yeah.
But this is like a nice blend of the two, and that's why another reason I'm really interested with the outcome of this.
You and me both.
Well, yeah. I mean, just the amount of work that goes into it. Like, how far along are you guys right now? If you could talk about it.
So actually, my buddy sent in a file tonight. We're gonna print out we got our 3rd robot finished. That's this guy with the pan head. And we're gonna finish. We're gonna do a complete printout of him, and then we've made some adjustments on the elbow for the other 2, and some neck attachments. We've made some adjustments there. I've been playing with different magnets and the strength of magnets, and you know, I got magnets, they stuck, but then as soon as you try and adjust the head pops off. You're like, okay, that doesn't work. You adjust the elbow falls apart. So we're getting stronger magnets and messing around with that. So probably, I'm hoping by next Monday to have all 3 robots printed out, done, and I'll paint those up. And then I'm meeting with an illustrator buddy of mine we're gonna talk about doing some cool illustrations for some box art and stuff like that. So
nice. Well, I wish you guys the best on that. I'm so interested because it's it's like a mishmash of things that I love. It's you know, the retro futurism, the cyberpunk vibe. It's just great.
And it kind of fits the world that I build a lot of robots and I do a lot of like big walker mech kind of things. So it kind of fits that world, and I think I'm liking it. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
No, for sure. So, what do you go out and you collect, you've been thrifting, as we've talked about. Any interesting, like, surprising finds that you
every week.
What's the latest thing you found that was just
So I found these vintage. So my daughter collects Garfield. She has since she was a little kid, and she'll be 20 in August. So I just found these vintage Garfield patches on a card, and they're amazing. They're beautiful. And the thing about like my yard sale hunting, I rarely flip stuff. I just go hunting for me. So I'm going to find stuff that I like, which is kind of a bummer because a lot of yard sale stuff or thrift storing is like people coming in there to try and just clear stuff out to flip it and make a profit off of it. And it's like, and I have done that. So I'm not going to like rip on it, but it's like, it's kind of a bummer when you go in and there's just people standing there like flipping through their phone, like looking. I'm like, how? Like, just buy it because you love it. Like, don't like leave some goodies for me.
Yeah,
but I think
feel like it's
pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a taxing career anyway to go do the flip, especially with toys, because there's just so many things that have to be right about the toy to even turn a profit.
Yeah, no, but I got some really fun. Okay, so I got this guy here. That was a Goodwill. No, I think Goodwill or Arc.
I actually have that.
I think I used to have that.
So it's not super valuable. It's not super old, but it's cool. And
Yeah.
I've got a project that I'm working on, but I'm not actually supposed to talk about it just yet. But I'm going to be in a little art show coming up here, and so stay tuned for that.
Oh, nice. Again, links in below. You should be on the Instagram, on the YouTube, and of course, one of them robots. All those links are below. So wanted to know if I had a person. I didn't know if you'd be interested. I have a personal challenge for you.
All right.
You can either personally. I can send you this with some other bonus parts, or you could just pick up this, which would probably be easier and cheaper. But I saw this. These little energy drinks. I would like to challenge you to see if you could make a submarine. I would like to see a Ghibli style submarine.
All right.
You don't have to. There's no pressure. I know you're on screen in front of thousands of millions of people.
Okay, so it's funny. I've got people recommend things all the time, but I love the style of that packaging. So send me a picture of it so I can go kind of find that. But
okay,
I have a booklet. When people send me stuff, I write down in my book different ideas that people are like, oh, could you make this, or you should do this? And I always write them down because
look at that.
I think people are giving me gold, and if I don't write it down, it just gets lost in the internet. So just know that out there, YouTube world, if you give me recommendations, I do jot those down.
You're a good man. Also, I'm going to point out, because I think they were in one of your other videos I saw, the turtles on tour. I spotted them back there. Yeah,
that was a birthday present for my sister.
Oh, that's yeah. Yeah, you were talking about your daughter, and I was curious about about your upbringing and getting into art, because your dad was a big supporter of you. He's like, you're going to enter this art competition.
Yeah.
Have you has your daughter, has she caught the art bug? Does she do creative things?
Unfortunately, yes. She's actually at Art Center right now as we speak. She's even doing a summer term there out in Pasadena, California. And she's studying entertainment design. So she wants to get into the animation world, and she is amazing, and she's way better than me, and I love it.
That's awesome. Great. I love that. Yeah, because I was just curious, because you said I was also curious about what you can kind of retell the story, because I don't want to. It'll come better. The story about how you got into doing art with your dad, and what was the thing that I believe you said you won the second attempt. I was wanting to know exactly what you did, because what the project was.
All right, so my dad was an educator, and my dad is an incredibly smart man. Like, studied nuclear physics at San Diego State University. He's like, his brain is like super huge. I'm an artist. I was like, when I was growing up, they didn't actually diagnose people with ADD, but I'm guessing they would have been like, yeah, he's got ADD, because I was just like, like a squirrel. And well, my dad was always the type of like, he's like, yeah, like it's a education. You can do it. You're going to do that. And so he's like, it was a school competition, and he said, you're going to enter the competition and draw something. Well, I had always drawn, and I'd always been drawing little cartoons and playing around with stuff. And so I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, your mom can teach you. And my mom is a self-taught artist. She never got to go to college or anything, but she is an amazing artist, just naturally. So she sat down with me, and she just showed me the principles of form and value and light and dark. And she just showed me with a sphere, and I was 13 years old, and it like just clicked. I was like, oh, I totally get it. Like, it just, like, my brain understood it when she showed it to me. So I drew a picture of a horse, and I got first place at state convention, or a state competition. Then I got to go to a national competition, and I got 13th place. Now, I'm a little competitive, and that like irked me. I was like, wait a minute. And so I saw what the competition was, and I said, I will never be beat again. So the next 3 years, I got first place every year at nationals, because I was like, I know how to do this.
Hat trick.
So my senior year, I drew a picture of Dwight D. Eisenhower, and I entered it into a congressional art contest that was in our city, but it was throughout the entire U.S. So there was I can't remember, I think there was over 700,000 entries throughout the entire U.S., and there was 200 kids that won, and I was one of them. And my picture of Dwight D. Eisenhower hung in the Capitol for a year, and I got to go to a congressional dinner. They flew me out to D.C. They paid for my hotel, so I'm like a 18-year-old kid, just like, this is amazing. It was awesome. It was so cool. And at the time, my congressman was like, hey, do you want to meet anybody? And he's like, I can't get you the president, but I was like, all right, what about Speaker of the House? So it was Newt Gingrich at the time. So
wow.
I drew a picture of Newt Gingrich, and I got to present it to him in his office, and his press secretary sent me 8x10 photos of me presenting my drawing as an 18-year-old skinny little kid with hair. So that was a pretty cool highlight. And I think it gave, like, I never was good at academics. Like, I stink at schoolwork, like math and sciences and history. I'm just not good at it. Like, or it's not interesting to me. But art was kind of my saving grace. It was something that the good Lord gave me, and I was like, wow, I had enough knowledge in my brain to say I need to take advantage of this, because this is my ticket to actually surviving in this brutal world.
Right.
And it's all right.
Yeah, and you as you said, you moved into graphic design. And how was that, like, an obvious choice to you, or did you kind of fall into that?
Yeah, so I actually, my undergraduate, I studied commercial art, which was basically like commercial illustration, and I did that for my entire undergrad. And we had graphic design classes, and I really loved working on the computer and creating art on the computer. And ended up, when I was finishing up, I was like, I don't think I'm going to make a career out of illustrating, because that's a tough field and a tough career to make. So I ended up sticking around at my school, and I got my master's because they had a really great program that if you stayed around and signed a contract, you could work as a graduate assistant, and you could get out of school for debt-free. So I got my master's, and I focused solely on graphic design. And I was like, I put my whole heart and soul into graphic design, because I was like, I can make a living doing graphic design.
Right.
So it ended up a deal for me.
Yeah, that was a great opportunity. I've never heard, like, so many, especially in today.
Yeah.
With that.
I could use a little bit.
Yeah, fortunately. Dustin will be an old man by the time, along with everybody else. A lot of people are going to be elderly people for the pale. Yeah. So how do you find the balance between, doing your art job for fun versus actual for work, when they can so easily cross?
Yeah, I think, like, I started off in the beginning, like, I'm on a computer all day. I'm doing artwork on a computer. It's very digital. It's very systematic. I'm setting up print files and getting things done that way. So it's a very regimented process. And then for me to be able to switch over and to be able to use my hands and just switch my brain's gears, it's so fulfilling to me as an artist. Like, I would be doing it even if I didn't have the YouTube channel, and I was doing it. And that's why I started the YouTube channel. I was like, this is weird. I'm just making stuff. Like, I feel like I could share this to the world and it would be fun. Like, I didn't really have any vision of, like, making it huge or, like, retiring early. Although I do watch 14-year-old kids making $16 million a year playing video games. So I'm like,
Yeah. Wouldn't be bad. Wouldn't turn it down.
But I really, like, for me, it gave me even more motivation to do my own craft, because now I get to share it with people, and people, for the most part, like it. There's people that think it sucks and I'm dumb, but that's okay. Like, to each their own, no big deal. Yeah. I get it.
Hey, yeah, that's just YouTube. That's social media.
I've got my two favorite comments. One said, dude, where are your eyebrows?
What?
I was like, Yeah, I got thin eyebrows. Like,
Congratulations.
and then the other one, this was pretty recent. Somebody commented, they were like, "Love your video, awesome build. Can't stand your voice. I will never watch one of your videos again." Fair enough. I was like, I don't even like my own voice.
Yeah, congrats. No one likes their own voice.
Well,
I think you really have to have a thick skin and just like. I just want people to realize I'm just a dude like making toys out of trash. Like there's nothing magical here. There are so many amazing artists on YouTube. There's so many makers that are doing incredible things. And so I say kudos to them. And like if you enjoy a little bit what I'm doing, that's awesome. I love it. And I just want to encourage people to have fun. That's it. Like I'm not trying to come off as like I'm some magical, like amazing thing. I'm just a dude having a good time.
well, I for one am glad you do it. For all those
Thanks.
people that think Bob Ross is boring or something, I don't understand. Oh
Bob
man,
Ross is amazing. He's a national treasure.
yes. I'll argue, Dr. Toys, you're a national treasure.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks.
like
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think that's all my questions. I don't want to keep you too long tonight. Like, especially, I know you're probably working on the next video.
No, not yet. But I do have like that AT-AP that I took the legs off of.
Yeah.
On the top part, there's actually a gun turret thing, and it looks like a speeder bike. And I was like, But I gotta tell you, I'm all over the place when I build. Like I don't have anything planned out. Like I'm not like, okay, this week I don't have a list of things. I literally like just look at my junk pile and I'm like, what do I want to build this week? Like, what do I want to make? I've got pieces that I've looked at for like 6 months and I just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. It's like I don't know exactly what to do with it just yet. So I just let it noodle and find something else to play with. So
again, it's just it's the jazz. I think that's what it draws me to your channel. It's just on the whim. I'm going to create something today. It'll either work or it won't, but it's going to be fun. And it gets me every time. I always look forward to every single video.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I totally appreciate it.
Well, again, thank you for stopping by. I'm so glad we got you on, and thank you for being patient with my technical issues.
No worries.
Again, below in the descriptions, you can find Dr. Toys, the links to his YouTube channel, Instagram, and the 1M Instagram and website. Keep up with what he's doing.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Cool. I hope I'm not forgetting something. Oh, and I'll send you the picture of the
that'd be perfect
here.
And if you make it to DesignerCon in Anaheim, California, December 15th, come say hi to me.
There you go.
I'd love to say hi. Do you guys ever get out to those kind of things, or?
No, I know Dustin's trying to get out to PowerCon.
Yeah,
you want to get out to PowerCon, the He-Man. But if you're in Anaheim, go stop in and say hi to Dr. Toys. Until then, we will see you next time. Good night, everybody. We love you.